Alright, now that we know what polynomials are, and we can know how to graph them, we're going to start looking at doing operations with polynomials. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is how to add and subtract polynomials. So it's actually something you've done before, but now it's just going to require a little bit more precision and accuracy in your answers. So for today, you will learn a method to use to add and subtract polynomials. It is very similar to problems we've done before. So adding polynomials. Let's say you were told to add the following polynomials. You have 5x to the third minus 2x plus x squared plus 7. That's your first polynomial. And then it's adding to 3x squared plus 7 minus 4x. For these problems, when you're adding polynomials, you just want to look for like terms. So like terms are the things that have the same variables and the same exponents. So when I'm doing this problem, I look at the first term here is 5x to the third. In the other polynomial, there is no x to the third term, so I have nothing to combine this with. So this winds up being just 5x to the third. I didn't add it to any values. The next highest exponent is x squared. So when I look at x squared term, there's an x squared here, and then I'm adding 3x squared over here. So this becomes plus 4x squared. The next highest is the negative 2x, and notice I'm keeping the negative in front of it. So it's negative 2x plus negative 4x over here. So negative 2x plus negative 4x is negative 6x. Let me box my x squared in blue so I know which one's matched. And then the 7s are like terms as well, so I just add 7 plus 7. So it becomes plus 14. So it's pretty easy, right? You're just combining like terms. For like terms, you need to have the same variable and the same exponent in order to combine them. So we worked on this a little bit first semester, but now we're doing it explicitly with polynomials. So let's take a look at the next problem. When you're adding the polynomials, you also want to keep your answer in standard form. So that means you have the highest exponent first, and then you go in decreasing order. So I like to start with the highest exponent and then combine from there. With these parentheses, I know sometimes you think that that would be multiplication, but in this problem there's a plus sign in between, so you should be adding. So here's a couple more examples. I have 4x squared minus 7x plus 2, and I'm adding it to negative x squared plus x minus 2. So the like terms are the negative x squared and the 4x squared, the negative 7x and the x, and then the 2 and the negative 2. So just adding these, that's what I'm doing in between. 4 plus negative 1 is 3, so it's 3x squareds. Negative 7 plus 1x is negative 6x. And 2 plus negative 2 gives me 0. So my final answer here becomes that. Similarly, in this problem, the highest exponent here is 2. So this is my lead coefficient and degree. The negative 8m squared plus m squared, negative 8 plus 1 is negative 7. Again, you can use your calculators if you need to. The 2m matches up with the 5m, so 2m plus 5m is 7m. And then the negative 3 doesn't have anybody to add with, so it just stays the same as minus 3. And there's your final answer for adding polynomials. Alright, so now let's take a look at subtracting. Subtracting is a little bit harder, but it's a step that we can still do. So flip it over. So to subtract polynomials from one another, you essentially add the opposite value. So since you are subtracting, the sign of each term in the second polynomial changes. So let's subtract the following. So there are two methods of doing this, and I'm going to do it both ways, and then you can decide which method works best for you. So I'm going to do the first method over here on the right, and then I'll do the, over there on the left, and then I'll do the second method over on the right. The first method for subtracting polynomials is keeping everything as it is, and then as you're working, you just remember that you're subtracting. So here, I have negative 2x to the third, x to the third matches with this x to the third. So those are my like terms that I can combine. The x squared, there is no x squared term here, so there's nothing going on there. Negative 4x combines with 3x, and then 8 combines with negative 4. The trick to remember here is that you are subtracting. So if I take negative 2x to the third and I subtract negative 2, I see two negatives there. So it's going to be negative 2 minus negative 2. And in that case, it gives me 0. So when you get 0, that term gets canceled out. So this 2x to the third got canceled out. Now I go to my 5x. 5x squared minus 3x, excuse me, there is no x squared terms. So that one just becomes 5x squared because it doesn't match up with anybody. Now I have negative 4x, and that matches up with the 3x. Negative 4 minus 3 gives me negative 7. So it's negative 7x's. And then the last method, 8 minus negative 4 gives you positive 12. The other method of doing this problem is removing the parentheses, but in order to remove the parentheses, you have to distribute the negative, which means you basically just change the signs only in the second polynomial, and then just add. So the first polynomial stays the same. It's negative 2x to the third plus 5x squared minus 4x plus 8. But now I'm distributing my negative only to the second polynomial. So negative negative makes positive 2x to the third minus 3x plus 4. So these ones just change their signs. And now you can just combine like terms. The x to the thirds cancel out because they're the opposite of each other. 5x squared does not have a partner. There is no other x squared term. Negative 4 minus 3x is negative 7x. And 8 plus 4 is 12. So there you go. Same answer. Either method you can use. It doesn't matter to me. I'll do both methods on the bottom so you can see more practice, and then you can decide what works for you for subtracting. So the only difference with subtraction is that it changes the signs in your second polynomial. So let's try some practice problems here. This one I'll do the initial method that I used in the method 1, and I'll just know that I'm subtracting because I see the subtraction here. So here it says I'm taking 7 x's, and I'm taking away 9 x's. I'm just doing 7 minus 9. 7 minus 9 is negative 2. So I have negative 2 x's. Then I've got negative 3 minus negative 2. Negative 3 minus negative 2 is negative 1. So there's my final answer. With the other method, I'm eliminating the negative by distributing it and changing the sign of what's in the second parentheses. So it's 3x squared plus 2x minus 4 minus 2x squared minus x plus 1. And now you just combine like terms. 3x squared minus 2x squared is 1x squared. So I can cancel those out because I took care of those. 2x minus x is 1x. So I can eliminate those, so I combine those. And then negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. So whatever method makes more sense to you is the method I suggest you use when you're solving your problems. The practice problems are the next sheet for you to work on, and they involve both addition and multiplication, so you have different problems to work on. As you're working, you can check your answers. They're going to be on the last page. The answers are not in order though, so you have to see if you found the right answer when you finish your problems. So good luck and try those problems.